My Hero Academia.
Okay, so hello and welcome to the My Hero Academia podcast, episode 98. This week we have a special episode as there is no anime or manga. Instead, we're going to start our read-through. We're starting with the first arc, and it's only 4 chapters long, but don't be deceived. The first chapter is 1,000,000 pages. No exaggeration.
45.
How dare you? 45 and a million to a million are vastly different. I would never lie.
Actually 54.
Oh, we're full of falsehoods.
So I'm Sophie. I haven't been here for a while. Hello. With me today is Kendra.
Hello.
And James.
Hello.
And Gary.
Howdy.
Cool. So we start off with the first chapter, and it's so long. I think the first thing when you start it is that the art is so different when you go back and read through.
Mm.
Also, another thing that I forgot to say, we're going to be talking no spoilers until the end, and I will put a timestamp in the description, and then we will be talking spoilers at the end. So if you don't want to listen to those, stop when we say stop.
Mm.
Cool. So do you all want to talk about the art differences?
Deku looks weird.
Yeah.
He looks like a wee baby. Like in that very first shot when it says age 14, he looks like when he was like a toddler. He looks really young.
He looks tiny.
Yeah.
It's still good. Mm-hmm.
So the first, like at the end of each of these chapters is where like we were getting some like the pictures of them in their casual clothes and some information about them. I thought it was interesting that Deku's was only the second one, and then we got to know a little bit about his design and creation if we wanted to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, like I guess like he was like, oh, I wanted to give him a more like interesting look, but I just wanted to cut his hair, so he decided not to.
This is get a damn haircut.
Yeah, he was gonna have like hair over one eye.
Mm-hmm. And he's not like that. He has green hair.
Yeah.
I think he stands out.
Yeah, his face itself is quite plain looking, and it's like his figure's very plain, isn't it? It's like he's not too tall, he's not too short. Like he's slim, but he's not like skeletal, because I can't think of a better word.
String bean.
The cover of Volume 1 is really weird because Deku's like running, but he's like both of his legs should be on the ground. It just looks weird. Because if he was running, he should be on an angle.
He's so excited, he flies. I had forgotten that we start straight with Bakugo the bully.
Yes!
He's he's literally the second character we see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before All Might even, and it's just like boom, boom, boom. We get to see his like jerk friends, Extendo Boy and Wing Boy. And just like I also really like the like people are not born equal. Because it's kind of like, it is like a fantastical series, but it does have like, it's all not fine and dandy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it was a good move to go from that first page of him being bullied and then go straight into the action.
Mm-hmm. And also kind of like the mystery of like the bioluminescent baby. It started in China. And just like, they still don't know what caused it, so like I do wonder if that's something that'll ever come up again, if it already did, but like it's just or I know like some other series have done similar things where it's like, oh, everyone has magic powers, so let's just move on. And
I feel like it will have to come up. Mm-hmm. Even though they kind of talked about it being evolution when we get to his the X-ray of his foot. Mm-hmm. So that's like showing that it is evolution, but without mentioning evolution because maybe it's a bit too X-Men-y.
Yeah. Well, I will say something about that. I know we were talking about the art for a second, but yeah, even in the first chapter, you can see Wolverine in the shadows.
Yes, like we see Wolverine, Superman, Spider-Man,
Ultraman.
Ultraman, yeah.
Devilman.
Oh, that's Devilman! I didn't know what that was. I was like, a gargoyle?
I don't know if that's a common writer, too, in the background. That's probably another man. I don't know.
But I like that those things still exist, which is cool. That there's comics has existed in the world of comics. Have any of you guys read Watchmen?
Nope.
I read about 4 chapters and I was like over it.
because there's kind of a cool thing where it's like a side story of like a comic about pirates, but it's really, really dark. And it's like kind of, since they're actual superheroes, people stopped writing about superheroes. So instead they started writing more like nitty gritty, like really weird stuff. But it just I wonder what like the comics are like in this universe now. But instead, or do we want to talk?
There are probably comics about the actual heroes.
Oh yeah.
Because like when you watch or when you like read comic books about the heroes, they've still got their own like merchandising and things, and there's comics about them. They go out on the street and there's people wearing their like masks, faces, and stuff. Mm. But to get back to My Hero, when you were talking about seeing all the heroes, the Star Wars references are much stronger in the start than I'd say they probably are now as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess what's where they are, like the train terminal? Do they name it in the manga? Probably. But I didn't really notice any in the first few chapters. But I
oh no, because the beach that they're on is Dagobah, isn't it?
Yes, you're right.
Or is that the train? There's quite a few in the first, but I don't have them all written down. But what I do have down is that the first hero we see isn't actually All Might, it's Death Arms.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I want to see him do more in the series, because even in this first arc, he's a bit pants, isn't he?
Well, no, I think the first one we see is Kamui, or is he
No,
Kamui?
it's not. It's Death Arms. Right? No, it's not. Right on page.
Yeah, the
2.
very first page.
Oh, you're right.
3.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. If you go back, because there's the bullying scene, and then it shows Deku with that, and you see Death Arms, flying Jetpack Man. Yeah, you're right.
And you also see Midnight on the billboard.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't tell who that was because there's no glasses there, so I didn't know who. I was looking at that.
I'm pretty sure because of the hairstyle.
But then...
I think you see Endeavor, too. There's definitely some flame guy.
I don't know.
think
It looks misty.
There.
Yeah.
Oh, you
there's
mean
a silhouette of a
teleprompter.
lady, and then there's
Yeah.
mist. Unless Endeavor
Yeah, I
gets them.
Is this under number 1 Izuku Midoriya Origin, or are you guys looking at a different page?
We're looking at Origin. Right there it says.
Yeah.
Oh,
on the,
no, we're looking at a different picture. We're looking at the one at the top. You're looking at the main screen that the villain's
Oh.
It's Midnight selling like a perfume or something.
But no,
I
the
think that's Midnight.
one that Kendra you're looking at, that could be All Might. All Might Endeavor.
I don't
I think that's Endeavor
Midnight.
on the screen.
She looks like a Christmas tree. This person's hair is normal.
Oh my gosh.
I never noticed that before. I was just like, I'm looking at it on, like, I have the actual book with me, so I was like bending the thing, like, who is this lady?
Yeah. But it takes us a while to get into like the main pro heroes that we know and love, because we don't actually meet All Might for a while. We go straight into that's why you said Kamui Woods is the first one we meet, because he's the first one that we get introduced to.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes straight in with that giant monster man.
And I do love that then we kind of see like the other side of heroes, like with Mountain Lady, that she's like in it for the money. And I do like her debut.
But it made me laugh when they said that the heroes have been given like actual positions and they get government pay, because to me government pay, I don't know, I think it's because I've always just worked in the public sector, but I'm always like, oh, government pay is terrible pay. But here it's like, yeah, government pay.
I guess they get ad deals too, but we don't really know that yet.
Yeah.
It's one difference from the anime to the manga in this part is like, this is where they're like money shot, like the paparazzo, and here they're just like, it's her.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I don't get, is that she's new. So how do they know it's her? Like how do they already know about her?
I'm wondering if I know this is just speculation, but maybe they like announce, hey, I'm a new hero, but this is a technical debut on the crime scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I guess if they was like, when we see other things that UA do that are televised and they get a lot of attention, if you were like a really good student, maybe some people would know of you anyway, and like through your internship, so they'd be like, oh, we remember her as an internship with that other superhero. And now she's got her own agency. Oh, and there's a giant bum. Let's take pictures.
That makes sense. I just realized when they zoom in on her being like evil face gloating, there's like a sad Camry Woods in the background.
Yeah.
And then like, or go ahead.
No, go ahead, because mine's just on the panel below.
Oh, I was going to transition to a different thing, to the next page.
Okay, well,
go ahead.
On the panel below that, you can see Izuku, is muttering is around like the word bubble. It says mutter, 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 mutter. I never noticed that.
He needs to be able, he can't think in his head. He needs, but I guess it helps to say it out loud, but he's just a little weirdo.
Yeah, his mutter storms start early on.
And I kind of like that, like, the teacher's like, oh, what would you guys want to do? Actually, everyone wants to be heroes. And it's like, how does your economy work?
It's a good transition from, like, we meet Izuku, he's being bullied, and then there's action, and then we go straight back to him. I like that. It's not too much. It keeps you interested, but it's not too, they're not all too separate to, like, draw you away and think.
Yeah. And just, like, Deku isn't really all that unique. Like, everybody wants to be a hero, but then, like, he has maybe the less chance of it or no chance because he doesn't have a quirk. Well, these people do. But I think later we see, like, his drive, I think, and, like, the dedication to keep at it. And, like, I think that most of these people, once they realized they couldn't be a hero, even with their quirks, they would just, like, move on to something else pretty easily. Well, Deku might not.
But I think if you were a young teenager, like, and this was your reality, you would want to be, everyone would want to be a hero, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I like that Charlie Brown made an appearance as an old man.
Yes, he's living a good life. At least no one's, like, taking away his football or anything.
Yeah.
I wonder if his voice changed to wah 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 wah.
He became the trumpet.
Full circle.
And listeners, in case you missed it, the teacher's shirt really looks like the Charlie Brown pattern.
And then we get our first proper introduction to Bakugo. Oh, he has aged his character has aged so well, which is saying a lot because he's still a knob, but what a knob!
And we get in people calling people extras, and at least people, like, are kind of talking back to him a little bit. But we learn a little bit more about UA. We learn about UA from him because, like, oh, he's gonna go there. It's like the top school, and he's like, and here's the weird thing where he wants to surpass All Might, and he wants to become the richest person in the world. And it's just like you were saying with, like, public service jobs. It's like, would he? It's not like our president's really rich. It's not like All Might isn't in charge of Japan. So, like, I don't know where he gets the richest person in the world from.
Maybe
I don't get
crime based, like however many crimes you solve, kind of like
But that wouldn't be All Might. That would be Endeavor.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that a little bit later, but yeah.
Yeah, like sponsor wise, I was thinking too. I don't know. That's more Tiger and Bunny.
I completely forgot that he was, like, slightly, like, money orientated. That was just a character feature that had gone out of my mind.
Same here. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I will say too, like, his little speech bubble here where he's like, I'll even surpass All Might and become the best hero out there. It's very typical shonen protagonist. Like, it reminds me even of, like, Luffy, like, hey, I'm going to be king of the pirates, you know, like, in general, like, I'm the very best, you know, I'm going to be the best. So, like, I was, like, totally not knowing anything about the series. Like, he almost seems like he would be or could be the protagonist at this point, but you do have a little bit of Midoriya already, so oops.
Yeah. And then we go on and we get our little scene with the doctor and things that I'm sure we'll probably want to talk about in the spoiler section. And this, I was really like, this is where I fell in love with Inko. She's such a great mum.
She is.
Yeah. And, like, little crying Izuku, and it's all he wants.
And she's single.
Yeah.
No. Spoiler, she's not single. Her husband just works away.
Yeah. Oh, but I just want to jump back a little bit. The interesting thing for Bakugo is that, like, even though or I guess maybe that's a bit in the future, but Bakugo, like, even though, like, Deku isn't, like, competition for him, he still takes it, like, super personally. Like, he doesn't mind that other people in the class, like, also want to be heroes. It's just, like, no, Deku, because you want to go to your way. So, like, even though you can't do it, he's, like, I think you can definitely see, like, future stuff that comes into play. But also, I love Inko. I love, like, this is very far ahead.
Yeah, because we didn't even talk about, like, the book and stuff that he had.
But because that's the thing. Sorry.
No, you carry on.
It jumps around a little bit, but I do like we do start to get like a little like his foot has like a star pattern around it, but that's kind of again like the evolution, like thinking about it thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, Bakugo is definitely like a gigantic dick here, and also he's dumb as well, like. Because later on, he's like, oh, don't smoke near me, because then I'll get in trouble, too. It's like, my dude, you just burnt the guy's book. You're the only guy here with fire powers. Deku goes to a teacher. I wonder who did it. Like, he's not... And then, like, literally telling someone to jump off a roof. Yeah. No, that's not, like... It's he... I don't know. He's supposed to be, like, a smart dude, but... He really isn't. And I definitely want to say, like, the jumping off the roof thing, everyone's like, oh, you went too far with that. And I think he went so far that, like, it shouldn't have been in the manga at all. Because it makes Bakugo that much unlikable. And Bakugo has evolved a lot.
It is a thing that bullies say, though.
Yeah.
So I guess it is, like, realistic to bullies. Because, like, teenage bullies are like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so extreme. And I guess, like, a part of me is a little bit annoyed because Deku is very, like, passive, but I do like that's maybe where he like snaps back a little bit. But I wish Deku would go to a teacher, but that's like easy to say because like.
But the teachers we've seen they don't do anything because like one of the points where he's being really picked on, like is in the classroom.
Yeah, like he pulls up his desk and the teachers are there.
And Bakugo's got his shoes on the desk and the teacher isn't doing anything. Like you can't disrespect school property like that. Oh, it annoys me to no end, especially when you see people on public transport with their shoes up. No! Get your shoes off, they are for the floor.
I just realized Sophie is a character we'll see more of later.
Oh, I am Ada.
Yes.
Lady Ada, yeah.
Yeah.
Lady Ada.
Yeah, I do love... Or do we want to say anything else about the Dick Bakugo? Or in his defense? Because I definitely wouldn't want to rag on him too much.
It's kind of hard to defend him, honestly, just because he's told him to take a swan dive off the roof. That's so horrible.
I feel like... Oh, go ahead.
No. I was going to say, at least he chose a beautiful and elegant dive for his suicide.
I feel like this was like a major juxtaposition between like you're supposed to realize how big of a jerk he is like here and how much pressure he's putting on Deku, and also like one thing I try to keep in mind too is like Horikoshi no doubt didn't realize that this was going to like be picked up. It was basically a one shot, so he's got to cram in a lot of like impact, and so like being over the top like that is kind of like, to me, like him trying to get the point across with like very limited time to do so. Even though it's like 54 pages or what have you, it's still supposed to wrap up this whole thing. So yeah, I can't really fault him for that. Yeah, especially with him not being, like this is his first really popular manga, so yeah, there's gonna be, especially
it's not his first manga though. It's
right,
but that maybe makes it worse. Like I think that backs up what Gary's saying, because he had 2 or I think 3 manga by this point that failed. So if anything, that backs up that like if you wanted to get this picked up when you had that history of things like going through and then failing at a certain point, you would really jam pack more into it because you had that heartbreak before.
And you kind of want to make it clear like their relationship between each other, because it like Gary was saying, like you might think like, oh, is Bakugo the main character? but then you see like, oh no, he's like antagonistical and like, okay, he's the guy I'm not rooting for, and like you feel bad for Deku, and then kind of like, I don't know. I really didn't like that part, but I do like, it's just interesting when he's like, you especially, like, he goes back, like, it wasn't enough that he, like, yelled him in the class, but he goes back, and it's like, I have to be the only one, I'm a perfectionist, and it's like, you'd still be the only one, like, it doesn't take away, because like, I guess he's like, oh, they show their first signs of greatness even as students, and, like, that happens organically, well, he's like, I'm not going to let it happen naturally. I have to, like, I'm going to engineer that I'm the greatest.
Yeah, but I mean, that's still like I'm saying it again, but that's still a trait that teenagers have. Like, that's
I'm not criticizing that.
Teenager thing, so I don't think it's anything to, like, focus too much on, because it is realistic. But then we go into and we meet our first big villain, the sludge villain. And the art here, even though we're saying that the art has come a long way, I feel like the art for the sludge villain and the way he takes his, like, victims in is so grotesquely well drawn. Like that page 23 where he's like trying to amalgamate Deku, like Izuku at this point, and his eye is focusing in on Izuku's eye as he like tries to morph around him. That's really creepily good art.
Yeah, it's definitely like.
And even as Izuku's being like glooped up, he looks down and we can see his like the initial outline for what he would want to be his character outfit, his like hero uniform, and he's looking down at that as he thinks that his life is ending, and I really like that little detail. That's the detail that I missed as I was going through it the first few times.
It was just kind of sad when he's like, okay, I'm going to ignore what everyone else says. And then, like, that's when he gets attacked by a slime villain. It's like, you have 45 seconds to live. What are you going to do?
What did we all think of All Might when he just appeared out of the sewer, no less?
I think I was definitely surprised because, like, we saw a little bit of him, like, Deku admiring him, and you think, like, he's someone who's going to appear later or that Deku's going to admire and maybe not encounter. But it's like, oh, no, I'm here to save the day. And he, like, tries to leave, and Deku's like, oh, no. But I do like that he, like, gives him the autograph. Like, All Might's very competent.
I think when I had first seen, like, promotional art of the series, like, and I've talked to, like, friends in real life, too, about this, but we thought that All Might was going to be, like, a villain, like, secretly, or a hero that's secretly a villain, basically, because he does give that vibe, especially with his, like, shading on his face.
Oh, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
I thought that as well.
Did you? So I like that, you know, Horikoshi subverted expectations, because that's a very common trope. So, yeah. I maybe a little further on I began to like him because, you know, we don't really know him at this point, but yeah, I think he's a good character.
I think where he turns up and like one of the first things he says is like mistakes aren't my style, but I mean, this is a strange land, and besides, I'm off camera. Like, it's just another part of Japan. It's not like he's in the Amazon rainforest. That would be a strange land for him.
Yeah, and I was thinking, too, like, when I first read this, that he was American, like, specifically American, because of those kind of comments.
And, like, the American Dream plan later.
Yeah.
I do like that even Deku points out that he's drawn weird. It's like, you're in a different style.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. It's like he breaks the third wall like really quick. Or fourth wall.
Just break down walls.
And then he whooshes off. And we see, in between the whoosh, we go back to Bakugo again. And he's like telling his friends off for smoking, and they're like, you were a bit hard on him, but he's like, you're smoking, I can't get that on my record. That's his opposition to him. It's not like you're 15, think like you're 14, 15, think of your health with the smoking. It's like, no, if you get caught, it'll be on my record. And then we go quickly and we learn about All Might's weakness very quickly. It's only like page 32.
And, like, he's very odd. Like, he gives it away. Like, he easily could have, like, Deku grabs him to get taken away, but he could have just been like, actually, I'm not All Might, or he could, like, anything. Or just like, I'm going to hit you over the head and hope you forget. But instead he's like, instead, which would be awful, but instead he's just like, just don't tell anybody. I, like, got really hurt. I cough up blood. And I kind of love, too, that he isn't just the muscle dude. Like, he does have that skinny, weird, like, dinosaur, or, like, very sharp silhouette.
He looks like a dinosaur, like you said.
In chapter 2, his neck is so long compared to his neck in chapter 1. It's like his neck on steroids. It's so long. It's the length of a forearm.
And I do like Deku's like, oh, can I be a hero too? And you kind of expect him to say yes, and instead he's just like, no.
Yeah.
But the one thing is, like, Deku doesn't really give an answer on why he couldn't just be a cop.
Right. It's like, that's not good enough to him, and it's like, come on, Deku. Like,
kind of, like, diminishes the value of the police.
Right.
But I guess,
and,
like even All Might does, too, where they're kind of just, like, the villain containment people. They just come up and clean up afterwards. So I can kind of see that. But we do see some later stuff where we see, like, a bit of their competence. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It's interesting to try to, like, see Deku's, like, thought process. Because he wants to be a hero, and it's like, why? Because he wants to save people. Like, he wants to be the strongest.
Right, and it's, I don't know. There's other ways to be a hero, and I wish that was highlighted a little more. Like, maybe but I think the point was, I mean, obviously the point was, like, he wasn't giving up on his main dream or goal, so he's not, like, working a different way to fulfill that goal. It's very rigid. It has to be a superhero.
I wonder if we were younger, we would understand this more, because he grew up on, like, the YouTube generation watching video clips.
Yeah.
So maybe if we were all of that age and we grew up watching that, whereas I'm pretty sure we were all the same age where when we started using the internet, it was like that horrible ringtone as you tried to dial up, and it was and then you'd wait for ages, and it would be like yes,
dial-up tone.
And you'd wait for ages and the internet wasn't there, and so then when you'd get the internet, you'd have to really prioritize your time.
And there wasn't like
I was like, I'm dating myself a bit, but they used to charge per minute.
Oh wow,
it's $5 a minute
for like your phone internet, or do you mean for like
dial-up internet? It was like very early on when we had like a computer.
Yikes.
It was like $5 a minute.
But I think it is good for Deku because like he is kind of like fairly meek person, but I like that there is like the one thing that he won't bend on. Because it helps make him, like, more interesting and maybe, like, relatable as well. Because, like, he has a dream and he's not going to, like, compromise on it.
Yeah.
Gary, was there something that you wanted to add?
Oh, I was just going to say, like, just about the internet. Like, back when I was growing up, it was, like, there wasn't a whole lot of content. It was basically, like, message boards and, like, a screen grab from... like Sailor Moon, or that was like about it.
Yeah,
I think Deku definitely is further along in the internet.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's really like I think that's what Sophie was saying. He's the YouTube generation, so he's a bit older.
Right.
But I think we can. Does anyone else have? I don't think the internet is very relevant to this.
No, because I was just about to say all I remember is looking up Pokemon stuff. That's all I remember.
I bet your parents were happy with that $5.
No, that was just a little bit before my time. That was my brother's time that he was telling me about that. But...
Yeah, but as Kendra wants to move us along.
Yes, I was like...
I don't know. I want to talk about the internet.
I like to reminisce. We then go to... when I was talking about like the sludge villain and how good the monstrosity art is, page 36 to 37 is peak monstrous art. There's like after Go's being overtaken, he's got that big like monster jaw.
Oh yeah,
it reminds me of a certain character that we meet in a little bit.
Who?
Cool.
Just Tokoyami. Whenever he has dark shadow.
Oh really?
Well, he has dark shadow over him in the movie, but anyways.
Maybe if Dark Shadow had a baby with a moonfish.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that.
And also, that's like way ahead.
Yeah, that's just a little bit ahead.
And also, we now meet Death Arms again, and guess what? He's doing nothing. He did nothing before. He's doing nothing.
He's trying to say I look sort of like Hellboy.
Yeah.
I want to say for Bakugo, like the monster was, or slime guy was saying like 45 seconds and you die, and like Bakugo lasted a lot longer, which is like impressive. Because
thinking about like Death Arms in that first shot, like he's using his like gigantic like super powered arms to like direct traffic in the beginning. I thought that was pretty funny. But anyway, back to this.
And the heroes like do not work together well. They're all just like, oh, I'm gonna like, oh, there's explosions, or like I need to control this thing, and it's like, well, let's wait for the person with the right quirk.
Yeah, that's what it seemed very disorganized.
Yeah, even though they're there, I will say
interesting.
Too. Like about the art here, this is like kind of peak first chapter. There's a shot later too of the Sledge villain, but I think he like allows some really interesting art. I kind of wonder how long Horikoshi, and if he had assistants at this point, I'm assuming, like how, you know, if they had a lot more time to get this one done, because it was like the pilot. So I don't know. You can kind of tell there are some really great artistic moments here, even though, like we said, you know, it gets better as the series goes.
And it is cool that like Deku at first he's just like kind of looking, and he's like, oh no, like I should, like I've already given up, like why do I bother looking at this? And then he recognized Bakugo, even though Bakugo's been like the jerkiest jerk to him, he's still like, I have to do something, because that's kind of like Deku's core being, and maybe like when he wants to be a hero so badly. And then I really like how it's kind of like the villain and Bakugo are like talking at the same time, and it's kind of hard to tell, or like you can tell which one's which. And then there is one where it's like, you'll die, and it's like, which person is that? And then like he's like just clawing, not really doing anything, and like Bakugo's like, why are you here? Because you look like you needed saving. I definitely really like that, like James was saying, the panel with his like face, like his eyes, and like the really horrific like slime.
Yeah, it reminds me of Bleach.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
This is the point where I really started to like Deku. As I was like reading along before, I was like, but when he does this, I was like, oh, Deku, you're just the best. This was like I think this was where I got hooked when I was reading the manga. This is where I got hooked on it, because I just really liked Deku's character. And then when All Might comes in and it's like saves the day, and everyone's telling Izuku off, and you're like, no, I love you, Izuku. You're the best.
I
you
know.
saved this bully friend. I don't know. It was a weird
and also
tension dynamic.
Bakugo made his own rescue harder. Like, they couldn't go there because of Bakugo. But also, like, Bakugo would have died, and it would have been all for nothing. So, good for him. Yeah. But, like, I wish they had praised Deku a little bit more.
Well, he does get that praise.
Yes, but almost, yay for All Might coming in just at, like, the right... Like, at first, All Might was also being like, oh, let's just wait. But it was, like, Deku inspired him to act, which is just, like, I don't know, a really cool thing. But sorry, you were going to say, Gary?
Yeah, just that they didn't realize that Deku is what spurned All Might to action. So, like, yeah, they're not going to, you know, how can they praise him? They just thought he was, like, some unprepared person, you know, like attacking, so.
I have a question for Gary. When you were reading through and you still thought, like, you weren't so trusty of All Might, when did you... start trusting him more? Because my lack of trust was very fleeting, and by the time as soon as he turned up and said, like, I was wrong, you were right, you spurred me to action, I was like, oh, he's reflected on his actions, and he's like apologizing. He can't be a villain. I'm a fan again.
Yeah, I think it was really early on, like when he shifted to his Small Might form, his skinny form. Because, like, you know, that was kind of the twist on the character, like, I realized, as opposed to him being a secret evil person.
Oh, you were sooner than me.
Yeah, but again, I'm remembering from, like, 4 or 5 years ago, so we'll see if that's even right, but...
And I liked, like, how early, like, All Might's kind of comedic as well. Like, he could pretty easily just be, like, a super serious character all the time, but...
Yeah.
He's like, he has, like, a little bit of comedy, too. He doesn't take himself, like, super seriously.
I'm glad he turned up funny, because when Bakugo then followed Izuku home and was so angry, like, you stupid nerd, why did you do that? We needed, like, some comedy straight after that.
Yeah.
Right. One thing I wanted to comment on too is like Midoriya looking on before he realized it was Bakugo, saying like it's his fault this person's being attacked because he was the reason that All Might dropped the villain, and he also is the reason that he had to prolong his hero form. So I do like that he reflected on that and realized that he made the mistake as opposed to being, oblivious or it not being mentioned, perhaps. So
Very good point.
Yeah. And so, like, yes, you can be a fanboy, but there are repercussions even if you're not a jerk, like Bakugo, for example. So it's like, yeah, I think that leads to some of his growth as well.
Yeah.
Trying to think his actions through.
I like All Might too, like kind of praising Deku for what he did and saying like All Might kind of had become like empty. He basically says like empty, like muscle man with like he's very insecure and kind of like a hero, only like acting like a hero just because he's going through the motions almost. But Deku kind of reminded him like this is the core of what being a hero means.
And it was such a like the last page to finish on that you can be a hero in bold is such a great way to end it.
And Deku's like sobbing as well.
It's a good panel, honestly.
And I do like, I want to shout out Bakugo a little bit, is that he kind of was thanking Deku in his own really weird way.
Yeah.
Or at least he wasn't like, especially because he stopped bullying him as well after that. So I think it was kind of his weird way. That's like the only way that he could like really do that at that moment.
So at the end of this chapter, we get our first like character extras, and it's All Might. And I think that this even shows how like nervous Horikoshi is, because at the end, literally the last sentence is just the word sorry. Like he talks about All Might and that his age is a mystery. And even through this first arc, All Might mentions a few times that he calls himself an old man. So who knows how old he is? But we get that like some information about him, and like his colleagues when he was creating him didn't think he was enough of a pretty boy to mean main character, but he went along with it. And then his last line is, "I'm not good enough, not a good enough artist to properly express like the eyes of All Might," and he apologizes.
It's okay, Horikoshi. You're doing good. Like All Might is so loved. He's so many people's favorite character, which makes me so happy.
Interesting too, like he's become his own meme, like with people copying that like shading style and like putting it on like the Powerpuff Girls or what have you.
But what is a meme?
That's a separate podcast that we need to have with Sophie. What is a meme?
Yeah, sorry for that for everyone.
Like live video chat.
Yeah. So some background information. I don't really internet very often, so there's a lot of internet chat that I'm just not on. And before this episode, I was sending people things saying like, "Is this a meme? Is this a meme?"
Something was hard. It was like, wait, is this a meme? No, that's a meme. And I do like for episode 2, the cover of it really looks like the cover of like the American comics.
Yeah.
Because it has like the Jump Comics #2 and like, I don't know, and it has like a barcode. The barcode's weird. I don't know why the barcode's there.
I think they did just try to make it look like an American comic.
Right, that's on the typical comic cover.
I thought about scanning and I forgot to try to see if like anything would come up if you scanned it.
For the All Might information thing, I really love just the first line. Drawing a single frontal shot of him uses up 1 or 2 pen nubs. The shading on him. Because he is scary looking. But he's also cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
When we go into the first page of chapter 2 and you see him from the back and you're like, oh my gosh, his thighs are massive.
He is so muscular. Like he should be in like the body drawing classes and just like draw an Adonis.
Oh my god.
And we also, I think Sophie was talking about the merch a little bit before, and now we get to see there's All Might chips. There's like a Gotham magazine or something he's on the cover of.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's so much, and there's like cutouts of his face that you can wear, and
There's a statue of him, and it's a horrible statue.
Yeah.
It looks like he has like bird wings on his head.
I mean that is how he looks. He does look a little bit like Pidgeot.
Oh yeah, caca.
That reminds me of something.
Don't tempt me. I'm gonna put Pidgeot on All Might's head. I'm gonna write it down.
Oh, but we go straight into. I really like chapter 2, and like because on the like the fourth page, just the fourth page in, we've got him All Might coughing up blood, and then on the third page is Izuku just bent over, doubling up in tears. So much emotion straight off the bat.
Aw, they're a mess.
They are.
I think that's kind of when I first knew I loved All Might, was when he started coughing up blood. Like that was. I don't know why that was so funny, but it's so funny.
And you know what's funny is a guy coughing up blood.
I know. Like
I'm wearing the shirt of All Might coughing up blood right now.
Yeah,
But they made it pink so it looks less scary. But
Yes.
I don't know. Poor All Might.
Yeah.
Because he's missing a lung and his entire stomach, I think.
Yeah,
And-
he does. Yeah.
Midoriya like forced him to stay in like hero mode too, so I don't think that helped.
And this is where we get his massively long neck, and he starts like explaining about one for all. And we first learn the concept, and that it can be passed along.
Mm-hmm.
Blah 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 blah. And Izuku straight away is like rubbing his eyes, really emotionally, and then you get a stare, and it's just I accept.
He's like, I don't really understand this, but sure.
But who would turn that down? Like, I think my hero when I was his age was like Britney Spears. If she said to me, I'm going to give you my, I don't know, pop star prowess, I wouldn't say no. It's the only comparison I could think of.
I mean, it's a little sad, like, oh, you can be a hero, but actually not yet. You're not ready. Like, it's kind of more realistic, too. Like, I think maybe another series would have had Deku being, like, a Batman figure inventing tools, but instead it's like, this is superheroes. And he also can't control the power right away either. But or it's just like, yeah, like you're not a ready vessel, 10 months of training. And I would say like All Might would make a good personal trainer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really
think-
like that they clean up the beach as like is what he's decided. So like there is, and he says like his line where he says heroes nowadays are all about like fame and money and things, but back in the day it was about volunteer work. And I just keep thinking the whole way through these chapters, how old are you, All Might? How old are you? He keeps calling himself an old man, and then he's like, oh, heroes these days, that's such a bit like a not even a middle-aged thing. It's such an older middle-aged thing to say, even though I guess he like from what we see, he does seem to be true. But
I know Sandra, who we've had on before, I think she's put him at around 60 or
yeah,
something. At the youngest, I forget. She has a Dutch. It's like the theories change because like we get different information. But I do wonder like why that beach? Like how does All Might even know about this beach? Like it's explained like oh like garbage goes there because of like the tides and stuff, and people just chuck it.
I was gonna say there's a no dumping sign on that beach. Those people don't care.
but I guess Japan is a very like clean culture. Like if you like even during like sports games, their fans will go and they'll clean stuff up. It's a very clean, organized culture. So if there was somewhere that was just kind of like a dumping ground, maybe it would be quite notorious within the region. And like if he was there and like when he said this is new uncharted territory for me, and he was asked people where to go, they'd be like, oh, don't go there, it's a dumping ground.
Oh yeah, and this is where we get Takuba Municipal Beach.
There we go.
What is that? What Star Wars thing is that? Who can Google it faster and know it off the top of their head?
I'm trying to
Is it
read where
Dagobah or
the beach
no?
is. I
I
can't.
thought it was Dagobah.
Oh, maybe I'm saying it wrong.
I'm trying to find where does you say that? I was trying
It
to
says
find.
it right under I have no reason to refuse.
Page 9. Oh, it says it on page 9 as well. Something
Dagobah is a reference to Dagobah, which is Yoda's
Oh
planet.
yeah, Dagobah. Yeah, so technically All Might is Yoda.
That is very fitting, because that's where he gets trained. I just want to say
we do have that reference, and I'm sure Horikoshi's mentioned it in an interview before, because when like Luke is training with Yoda and he's carrying him on his back is quite similar to where Izuku's trying to pull All Might along. And even when when All Might is in his like skinny form and he's going along on the little sedgeway, it's quite Yoda-y to just be going along like shouting encouragement while the trainer does nothing.
I was gonna say I want to see Deku actually carry All Might.
He does.
Well, like in Yoda does it, but
like in a backpack.
Yeah, like a backpack.
I think he does. Like we definitely see him carrying All Might at one point. Maybe not.
I like that he did crush that fridge like a beer can.
Yeah. I think of all the training stuff, we get a lot of training bit. Like we get a good training montage, and who doesn't love a montage? But the best thing of the montage for me is All Might in his stripy beach onesie pulling his muscle pose for all the women on page 16. Like there are some great
Why is he wearing that?
Because that's what sexy is, James. Did you not know?
Just
I also love All Might's shrug, where he's like, I see I don't see the page numbers here, but after Deku's loading stuff into the truck, he's carrying All Might.
Oh, he is. I never noticed that. So it is the Yoda thing.
Yeah.
I like that we get to see Izuku's over the topness starting now. Like even when his training regime, as we see it printed out anyway, the little bits we do see, is already like over the top, and he just thinks, I'm really tired from this, but I'll do more.
Yeah.
This at the start it gave me like when All Might saying like you need to take a rest, and Izuku's crying on the ground like I can do more, and he's like, well now you've explained it like that, I understand your logic, and they hug. It gave me real Rock Lee and Might Guy vibes.
It's very sweet. And I think this is when we start to see Deku wearing shirts that say a different kind of shirt on it. Like when he's going for a run, the shirt says apparently PJ shirt, like pajama shirt.
That's amazing.
Which is like a cute little gag.
And we go straight to that to no shirt in page 23, and he's now 10 months later got a six-pack.
He also inherited All Might's long neck.
Yep, and instead of like before, they had a van, and Izuku was taking stuff to the van where they could get rid of it and I guess take it to the dump. But now instead he's just moved moved a lot of that into one pile. And All Might shows him like a motivation picture of where he started, of him crying on the floor, to like where he is now, and the phone in All Might's giant muscle hands is tiny.
It's so small. That's so funny.
Yeah, and we get the everyone's favourite comedy moment of, take this to heart, kid. You've earned this fair and square. You can become a pro hero. Now eat my hair.
Eat this. And apparently, I think in Japanese, Deku's response actually sounds kind of like hair or something.
Brilliant.
But I just want to say, like, All Might does all this awesome training, but he didn't teach Deku how to fight. Like, Deku doesn't know how to throw a punch. He should have done some, like, Karate Kid.
But that's not the point of this training. This training isn't to get his body defensive. It's to get his body strong. Like he could know all the fighting moves possible, but if he didn't have the strength to hold the quirk, he'd still lose his limbs. So.
It is always just jarring seeing All Might's face, where it's like, whoa, yeah, he looks like that. He's so weird.
Yep. And we get the information of Izuku at the end, but we've already talked about that, so I'm gonna skim it.
Well, he likes Katsudan. Or what does he call Bakugo? Kachan.
Kachan?
Katsudo, Kachan. Katsuki Bakugo.
Yes.
Or Katsu, I think, also is like victory, or it's like a homophone for victory or something like that. But then we see some pro heroes, and is it saying, are they the top 3, or are they saying these 3 went to UA?
I think it's both. But I do think it's funny that we get introduced to All Might as there's All Might, who magnanimously declined the People's Choice Award. And then we go straight into Endeavour, who stopped more crimes than anyone. When I read this, I was really in Endeavour's corner. I was like, why isn't he at the forefront if he stopped so many crimes? Like, he's the best. This guy, I don't know, he's just a wannabe that would probably go on the Ellen show. I'm not interested in him and his Jonathan Ross chat. I want to know more about the one that's stopping all the crime.
Especially, like, People's Choice Awards is like, what?
And then you go to Best Genius, who won the Best Genius Award. You're like, what?
At this point, I thought he was like solely a joke character.
It's so weird.
Or is this just funny because Best Genius Award is a real thing in Japan?
I love this.
Yeah, I learned that on this podcast.
Yes, I think like we did like a tiny Best Genius and put a crown on him, and he was just in pants or something. They might have been gold. I don't remember.
It was such a good episode image.
And I do like, I wish Deku had taken a nap. Like, he deserves a nap, but he goes home, takes a shower, and I was like, nap. Sleep.
Yeah. I remember reading this and being really, like, even when I reread this, I was really annoyed at All Might and his preparation. Like, you need to give him get him to eat the hair and then let him sleep it off. Don't make him rush to this dirty beach, eat your hair, rush home, and then go to this, like, really important day.
Yeah, because I guess Deku, that's why Deku went the extra mile, because Deku wanted to finish a week before. Well, thanks to this training and him also, like, maybe screwing up his training because of that, he finished, like, the day of.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I was very disappointed in their organisational planning.
Kisk.
Yeah, but UA's main building being in the shape of a U did instantly win it back.
I always forget how funny that is. Oh, and we see Bakugo, and I am keeping I did it for the anime, I'm doing it for the manga. Bakugo's threatening to kill someone count is at 1.
I think you should count, like, the first one where he told Deku to jump off the building.
Okay, so I had that one, and then, because then there's another one later on. So right now we're at 2.
Yeah. But, I mean, it is interesting that Izuku says that he never tormented him again after, like, the sludge villain thing, and then... Because I guess asking someone to get out of your way isn't really tormenting, but I
Then he
wouldn't
says,
say
get
it's
out
not
of my way or
tormenting.
you're dead.
Yeah, is it tormenting?
He's abrasive.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
The bar's set very low.
Yes.
Low.
And also, I do like, we see that there are different, like, hero statues outside. Like, that Deku walks by, and I was like, I want to know. There's one who has, like, Viking horns. And I was like, I want to know more.
And we meet Ochako Uraka for this first time, even though we don't know her name, but she's super cute.
Yes.
Yeah, I put the note that this is cute, this interaction.
Yes.
He, like, she asks, are you okay? And he's like, derp?
Yeah.
And he's like, I talked to a girl!
Oh. And even the sound effect of her putting him on the floor with the blop is cute.
Yes.
But we go straight from cute to present Mike, who is not cute, and I'd never trusted him at the start because he was so weird.
I wish everyone cheered. Like, if I was there, I would be yelling.
I know, what kind of jerks to stay silent? Come on.
I wouldn't
now.
cheer. I'd be like,
Reminds,
quiet.
it reminds me of, like, boom, boom, boom. Everybody say, whale, whale.
Gary, would you cheer?
Yeah, I probably would. Because, like, at concert venues, I would. I don't know. Even though I feel awkward.
Venue.
Yeah,
But
right.
it's an exam.
I know. It's not even like an assembly, but I don't know. I am the type that, like, goes along with what I'm told to do, even if it's awkward. So.
Well, I'm in the minority. I would have sat there silently.
You're in the majority in the manga.
Yes.
And I do like Deku is like the only one nerding out.
Yeah.
I like his, I do like his like pageant girl winner pose of like his hands to his nose, like, oh my god, it's President Mike.
And I'd like to see the muttering outline again. Like,
Yeah. And we just met Ochako, and now we meet Ida, who I was previously compared to just 5 minutes ago.
We skipped the part where he says he listens to his radio show. So he listens to he listens to President Mike's podcast.
Yeah.
But anyways.
And
I'm sorry, I keep noticing there is where they do like the Mario characters to explain the exam.
That's a highlight. I don't remember it, but yeah, I've read it so long ago. I know they do, yeah.
Can we talk about Ida again?
Yeah, sorry.
He's a little bit of a jerk here, so it's kind of hard to read his personality here.
He's not a jerk. Like they're trying to listen and concentrate, and Izuku's muttering.
He interrupted the presentation to argue with the presenter. Like,
he wasn't arguing, he just wants the facts. He might be, I don't know why I'm defending him now. I don't have any affiliation to Ida.
Yeah. When I first saw him, I liked him a lot, because I like the rule follower type of characters.
I did like that he was just like, I need to know all this information before I start. That's totally what I would like to know too.
Well, yeah, that's what I would be like, I probably wouldn't say anything, but I would just be like walking along like, what am I supposed to do? Yeah, so.
You're explaining it though.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's a nice kid. It's just like he wants to know what's going on, and like he's like, shut up. Like, why are you talking? And I do like there's a weird thing when it's like the great hero Napoleon Bonaparte, and it's like, was Napoleon a hero?
To
some people, maybe.
Right. So Napoleon.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Napoleon did do, arguably, have got good things. But he also did a lot of bad things. He started a lot of wars. He tried to bring slavery back.
Oh.
Yeah. There's a lot of good things in France itself that he can be credited for, but a lot of shit things on the outside of France that he can be credited for. But that's just the same as all other empires. Like, look at the British Empire. We did terrible things outside of Britain. But in Britain, they were happy and they were going well. Outside of it, atrocious. And it was just the same for France. It was exactly the same for Napoleon. Good things inside France, disgusting things outside of France.
Yeah. I wonder.
Same for Spain. I don't know that much about Egypt.
Is President Mike French? Maybe.
That's what I was kind of wondering too.
He's just got a bit of a nearly Salvador Dali style facial hair going on.
Yeah, his hair, like, I love his design, but also, like, I was trying to use him for an episode image last week. His hair is so big! It adds, like, a foot to his height or more.
What's the tropical bird that he looks like? Is it a cockatoo? Yeah.
Yes. It's too big. But I do love his design, and his, like, weird, like, spinny eyes makes him look like...
Yeah.
Like, this is like the very, you can feel very cartoony almost. And Deku takes break a leg, everyone, very literally.
The only thing about President Mike that I want to point out is that all the teachers, they're like, I think President Mike's only like 30 years old, but he thinks he's really old. But you always do when you're talking about teenagers, because he's like, have you all ever played Super Mario Brothers? You know, the old retro game. I guess that must be what it's like if you hang out with teenagers.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I like that the uncredited robot is like literally compared to a thwomp. Like they don't even like disguise that this is all Mario references. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and there are Haribo references going further as well.
Haribo?
Yeah, the my number one character, she gives out Haribo.
What's a Haribo?
Gummy bear.
Gummy candies.
I don't know Haribo.
They're a brand, but
that's the brand. Yeah. No, Haribo.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's the gummy bear brand.
Who's the gummy bear?
It's the candy, just the candy. The Haribo is like the #1 manufacturer of gummy bears.
But who's a reference to it? Or what is?
Recovery Girl. She gives out Haribo sweets, and I was like, "Oh, a brand."
That's way later.
Well, it's this chapter.
It's a brand.
This chapter's long.
I thought you didn't know what Haribo was, and it was almost as bad as when
I also don't. I also don't, but I also didn't understand why it was being brought up, so I had no context for it.
Oh, I see. But if we go back to the context, then we go next on to the actual site for the test. We see Ochako, we see Ida, and also some other fan favourites. We see Shoji, and we see my favourite, Aoyama.
I always forget Shoji is there. Every time it surprises me.
Yeah.
And I also thought that we could see Tokiyami briefly.
He definitely is.
Yeah, Tokiyami's there, isn't he? On page 11 between Aoyama.
Yes.
On page 12, I think you see his hair spikes.
Yes. Is this where, because I'm sure someone said that we saw Kirishima.
Yes.
Where is Kirishima in this chapter, please?
He's a little later.
He's a little, he has a different, spoilers, people, skip ahead. He has a different hair. He has black hair, so he's
on 17.
And he's also, cool. when it says it's completely overwhelming, he's running beside Deku.
Ah, cool. So then we go back to where we are, and Izuku wants to go up to talk to Ochako, but Ida has been watching him. He's obviously clocked him as a troublemaker. Mm. And he's like, why are you going up to that girl? She's clearly trying to meditate or something. Like, leave her alone. And I'm with Ida on this one. If I want to relax and some, like, random person keeps talking to me, shush.
Mm-hmm.
Shush. It's quiet time. But maybe I'm antisocial.
But I do like we kind of get to learn a little bit about what is and isn't allowed. Like, people are allowed to have tech with them, but they make sure they're not with people they already know. And then I think I think I skipped ahead a little bit, but like All Might warns about kickback. But although the thing is, Deku's kind of thrown in and he doesn't know what to do because he's just like.
Yeah, he has, like, it is a scary idea. He's got no idea how the quirk will manifest or if he's known. And even scarier, when they start the test, it's just and begin. That's it. There's no 3, 2, 1. There's no countdown. It's just go. You're chatting normally. Go.
Yeah. That's definitely, like, how I would react, too. I'd be like, wait, what? So it is, like, definitely, because Deku, like, he's a kind of a mix of kind of, like, trying to be a little bit of, like, the audience insert of, like, how you want him to be relatable, but you also want him to, like, be able to do stuff. But I think it is just that, like, he definitely acts more when other people are in danger. Yeah. Especially right now.
The guy on the top of page 12, there's all the potential students running off. We see Ochako, and then next to her is a man with black and white stripy hair. And he made me think of, you know, the guy who's in the General Studies arc that has got, like, the torpedo hair and is complaining with the other, like, angry girl about 1A wanting to do their sing-song. He made me think of him, and I went and had a look at him, and it's not him because the chin is noticeably smaller.
I just thought also the other guy didn't have the white and black.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was just something that he stuck on his head, because they're all wearing, like, well, Ida's wearing different clothes, but...
Yeah. I guess the Japanese like pompadours, or like manga artists do at least. I don't know if people still have. I don't think people still have pompadours. That's like old.
I'm sure.
Cool anymore.
There's some old people that still rock it.
How? You need a lot of hair to do it.
I was gonna say a lot of Hispanic people do rock pompadours.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I guess like
You're so racist, Kendra.
I don't understand how pompadour. I don't even understand how pompadours work.
That's because you're not fashionable.
I should ask my brother because he has one.
Does he?
They're not really that big, right?
Yeah, they're not that wild.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I mean. No one in Japan probably is walking around with a drill on their head unless they're like an otaku or something.
A lot of times it's like a wig when it's like overly, when it's really exaggerated. Because basically like combing your fringe up and around it,
You need pomade.
Oh.
Well, that's like Yusuke in Yu Yu Hakusho. He has like a pompadour, but it's more like what a sane person would have as a pompadour instead of like a drill.
Kuwabara.
Yeah.
Kuwabara, whom I love with my entire heart, as well as Yusuke, I think. But anyways, I went on a hair rant this time. And also,
let's move
Laser
on to...
Boy. Laser Boy saves saves Deku.
But he does it in the most arrogant way. He takes him out and is like, oh, thanks for helping me. I won't see you again. As he, like, runs off. He's the best.
He just, like, winks and it's like, okay.
Adieu!
I don't know why I think of Rosa Versailles when I see
Oh, he would fit in.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like his appearance here is a little different from later. Like, he seems more like...
Yeah.
Confident.
I won't. I don't know.
I guess
we'll talk about that later.
Aoyama always pretends to be confident anyway, doesn't he? Like, he always wants to be the centre of attention and pretend that he's confident. Like, what was I doing? Where was I? Ask me about me. So I guess this is just another opportunity for him to talk about himself and run off.
Oh, I just realized, though, you can definitely tell Tokoyami is there for sure. Because when Deku looks at the people, like, at the scene, we see someone with, like, a shadow hand coming out.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Definitely, because I wasn't sure, because I was looking and I was like, that could be him.
Yeah. And then we see Ochiko, and she's got 28 points. Ida has 45. And rereading this, it made me so angry that we don't have more on Shoji, because the characters that they're using for, like, examples on how people look like students are getting their one up is Shoji is the first one for intelligence gatherers, and it says those... there are those who can assess the situation in an instant, and that's him. Ida is the example of mobility experts, and they say those who'll never be late to a party. And then Aoyama is the example of the decision makers, those who can cope with any given situation. And then Bakugo is the natural born warriors. And we've got stuff about Aoyama, we've got stuff about Ida. There's a million things about Bakugo. Where is my Shoji?
Give us him.
Please, I'm so desperate. He's so wonderful. He's just an enigma.
I'm just impressed that, like, they could keep track of their points, because I would not. I could not do math to save my life. I would just be like, I would lose track, because you're, like, fighting.
Same.
I would be too scared.
I would just award random points.
I thought it was like an announcer doing it at first, but it definitely is them keeping count.
If you've got cameras everywhere and you've got lots of people, I guess it's quite easy to do.
What if you just lied?
Taskmaster.
What if I just lied? Because what if you, like, I guess, like you're saying, they have cameras, so they're keeping an actual count. But I could be like, 50 points, 20, 100, I win. What are you going to do? Fight me.
8 arms, that's great. 10 points.
Yeah. And then, like, everyone's doing well, but they flip the... Or it's not even a switch, it's a button. It's the Yaruki switch. And I had to Google, which it means, like, the will to do something. And I found that by actually looking at an Avengers Watch My Hero Academia fic, instead of just, like, Googling what Yaruki meant. But there's a big-ass robot.
It's really terrifying. I would run away just like the rest of the students. It's very scary.
Reminds me of a Ghost in the Shell robot for some reason.
And I do like that we noticeably get Ida running past Izuku and looking at him as he runs away while Izuku is kind of on the floor. And then Izuku's thinking, like, he's thinking about how he's doing really badly and he wants to run away. And then he sees Ochiko. She fell. It's a bad omen to fall. We learnt that that's her view earlier on, and now she's struggling to get back up. So what does he do? He activates his quirk and he jumps into the air 1,000,000 bloody feet up, punches the robot with a smash.
And I do think it's kind of interesting that it starts with his feet, because obviously, like, that's what he needs to jump, but also, like, just the pinky toe thing again. I wonder, though, now that he has that, did he lose that joint? Like,
Kendra, you've got such a thing about Izuku's feet and his red shoes.
I will go on this until my death, but I will move on now. But he does that punch is so good. Like, it's a cool, like, double page spread.
I want to go back and start a jar, but it's every time that Kendra mentions either pink feet or shoes.
I think we're at like 3 now. So we can have a kill jar and we can have a Kendra mention the shoes jar. If they're red, it's important.
I'm pretty sure they. I don't know. I think they were at the beginning. I don't know.
What?
They were red in the beginning of the anime. I don't remember if they were.
Red shoes.
Yeah.
You're talking to Kendra. She knows all about his shoe colours.
I told you that I made like a custom Air Force Ones that look like Deku shoes.
Ooh.
Very cool.
But they got stolen.
It's like I made you a cupcake, but I eated it.
I guess it might be something like
out of all the things they took.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I guess I wasn't saying that he like got red shoes when he got a new quirk or anything. He just always had red shoes. And so does later.
She's talking about his shoes again.
This is your guys' fault. Anyways,
add it to the shoe jar.
He was very cool, and we get like a shot of All Might in shadow, and he looks straight up evil. But and also like that self-sacrificing spirit of that Deku doesn't really. If it's himself, he'll be like he might get annoyed if someone talks about him or like. But he's like, but if someone else is in danger, Deku's on it, which I love. Like I don't know, it's very sweet. And then he realizes, oh wait, this is the next chapter now. We get to go a bit about Bakugo. He likes spicy food, and he might have been a character who was like a goody two-shoes who like accidentally insulted people.
I'm so glad that that's not his character. Like when we see his when we see his annoying happy face and he says, "Why? I dare say anyone could pull it off." Oh, I would have hated that character. I'm so glad that we got this obnoxious wanker instead of this obnoxious wanker. I'm much happy with the one that we have.
It's interesting too that his birthday is 420, so it's kind of the opposite of 420. With that,
it's also Hitler's birthday.
Oh,
don't bring Hitler into it.
Which it was so silly. It was so silly when people got mad about that. Like I can't overstate how silly that was.
There's also another date too that's related to that, but
and I was gonna comment. This is okay. So if you don't want to hear spoilers,
let's say that for the end.
I know. Well, it's just like a name of a character.
Say it. No, say it.
He reminds me of Yoshindo, like the concept.
Yoshindo.
Yeah. Basically, like somebody who has this, you're doing really great, but not being genuine.
Yoshindo was so boring. He never even did anything. Like I guess he did like a bit of the Shockwave thing. He was a disappointment.
But he's got some people really stand for him.
Yeah, he's got his fan base, and I don't really get it either because he didn't do much. But yeah, I was just kind of.
I don't know why people don't stand that weird girl that is friends with him that like her quirk is that she folds into herself.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone overly stands her. I don't know. But
I will do now.
Yeah, I like her though. Yeah. Like everybody I know is like, that's really disturbing. I'm like, what? It's not more disturbing than anything else, is it? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. But I do appreciate that we see, like, Deku did not plan for what to do afterwards. Also because he didn't realize everything would break. Like, he broke his legs and one arm, and now he's falling to his death.
Flailing legs.
Oh. He's like a balloon boat. What is the wavy balloon man?
The inflatable tube man.
Yes.
When this was happening... Oh, sorry, Gary.
He's like Catface. That's what I was going to say.
When this was happening, I forgot that Uraka floated up to touch him because I kept thinking as he was like falling down, I was like, oh, but she taps him like when he's really close to the ground. But no, she flew up to do it. So she planned her rescue of him. So cute.
Has anyone?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, has anyone made like Flappy Bird parody with like Midoriya's arms flailing? That would be good.
I guess.
Is Flappy Bird's the game? I don't know.
Is this a name?
Yes, Sophie.
It's a hard game that's dumb, and it makes me angry because I suck at it.
Is it a meme? I don't know.
No, it's just like it was a while ago. But yeah. I do like that Deku actually did try to like plan. He's like, okay, I can use my other arm, but then how am I going to get points? And then Ojiko just shows up out of nowhere and slaps him.
That was
But
hilarious.
she's saving him. Like, I think that's very sweet.
I mean, all of this is important, but I think I just spotted Jiro.
Wait, what?
Where?
On page 7 of chapter 3, the panel above Bakugo, we get someone with hair that's a lot in their face, sort of to the length of her, and someone that's wearing her sort of jacket with a white top. Could that be Jiro?
The
I mean,
teeth
I'm
look
pulling
really
at strings.
weird.
No,
No, we can't see straight. You can't see teeth.
That's Kirishima.
Is it Kirishima?
Yes, because this is. I think we've seen that character earlier as well.
Oh, yeah,
It's
I
definitely
think
Kirishima.
that's who I think too. Yeah. I was looking on the opposite page. Look at who I thought. There's like Ida, then the Usopp guy, and then there's like a not detailed person. Then there's that one there. I thought that's who you meant was Jiro. I was like, what?
No. But talking about Ida, when he goes back and everyone's talking about Izuku, and they're like, oh, he pulled that, but he was such a scaredy cat. And Ida notices that he only did it to save Ochako, and he's like, I would have done that if it wasn't a game. And you can see he's in turmoil. I really like that, because even if you thought he was a bit of a knob at first, you must have read that and been like, oh, like maybe he's not so bad. I don't know. I liked it.
Yeah, that definitely turned me around for Ida, because at first I didn't like him that much, because I was like, he just seemed like annoying and like loud and kind of like mean in the way he used it, even though he wasn't. But then it's like, oh, he's actually like, he's a good kid.
Yeah, and we talked about like Izuku reflecting and learning that he didn't do great, and then talking about All Might doing the same thing, and now we see Ida doing it. I love that. But then we meet.
He's like inspiring people. That's really cute.
Oh, then we meet the actual best character, who I wish I could be, Recovery Girl.
I love her so. Her cane is a little syringe needle. I just noticed that.
I got really excited when we saw that she was the nursing instructor, and I thought that there would be like a hero division of people that were just dedicated to like healthcare. I thought there would be like a hero healthcare division that could be like the medics and stuff. But no, it never came to fruition, which has made me quite sad. But maybe, I don't know.
You need
maybe
to cosplay as
be in the
Recovery
future.
Girl.
I'm waiting until we see her and Gran Torino. What they're like. We know what Gran Torino used to be like, but I'm hoping we see what Recovery Girl used to look like, and then I can do it.
She was probably actually like huge or something. Like she wasn't like tiny. She was probably.
Oh yeah, because Gran Torino, I don't think he was tiny. But I'm 5'9", so I think me like bending over like that would never get the desired effect.
Oh, I do like that it's Aoyama Laser Boy that tells us about her, and I wonder like, why does he know so much about her? But she's the reason why that UA can have such intense exams, because she can heal people. She has a super healing factor.
But she's got to be pretty famous, because we've learned that she, like in her spare time, she goes and visits local hospitals. And also, I'm guessing anyone that wants to go into UA, or any children at this point, are quite big, like fanboys, but not to Izuku's level, so they would probably know who she is.
And she's got a kiss you to heal you. She's like, what? Or does she? Or does she just like to? But she's giving out Haribo candy. Is that a hard candy?
Haribo, we just talked about them.
Gummy bears.
Oh, gummy bears. I forgot.
Or gummy in general.
Oh, well. And I do appreciate that. I think, like, Ida also might kind of, he thinks like, oh, if the exam's set up that way, I wonder if he thinks that Deku did it on purpose or something. I think we see that later. But I appreciate Deadeye Deku staring at the Deadeye fish.
Oh, I thought that Ida was like guessing the setup of the game. But no, that made me laugh as well. Like, Inko's so panicky. Someone needs to get her some anxiety help. Are you okay? Stop smiling at the fish.
That's a highlight for me. That's funny.
And I do appreciate there was a written portion, and like I'm glad Deku apparently just barely passed it. And we get to see her using her quirk a little bit, like drawing stuff towards her.
Mm. Yeah. And Izuku is just casually lifting some weights.
Yay! He kept doing it.
Yeah. And Inko is so anxious that when she picks up the letter, she falls to the ground. She's on her knees passing it like she's fell. She's not going to think that her son's going to get in. Yeah. But she's so anxious for his reply. It's so cute.
In the anime, they made it like a horror movie where she's like crawling towards him.
Oh, what a liberty.
And then we see like they have hologram technology. So like this is the future, but we don't really know when.
Yeah, and then my favourite thing about this is All Might turns up. He gives his little, hello, I'm here. And then he's like, watch this screen. So it's a screen within a screen. He wants Izuku to watch Ochako say that she wants to share her points with him. But so Izuku's watching this hologram and watching a screen on the hologram with All Might's face just tilting in front of it.
And she calls him like curly-haired boy with freckles. He's like really plain looking. I thought for a second she called him cute, but alas, no. And she wants to give him her points.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, they're all like good kids, and that makes me very happy. And that she recognized that like he went in to save her, and like they saved each other. And also we also got mentioned that All Might's going to be teaching at UA, but we learn it's not just villain points.
Is it recovery points? I've got
rescue.
Yep. And so he's gotten into UA, and then the chapter ends with Uraka, the information Uraka point.
This will be Your Hero Academia. Or it should be This is Your Hero Academia, but this will be Your Hero Academy.
Yep. And that's the end of the first arc.
Woo! You got into UA.
It was a really good introduction. I felt like we not only understood Izuku's character and Bakugo's character, but also to get so much in such a short space of time of Ochako and even Ida's character. Mm-hmm. It was really good. And we understood so much about the world from such just like 4 chapters, even though like chapter 2 is 30 pages and chapter 1 is 1,000,000. But
you're gonna say, Gary?
Well, Sophie said it like exactly. So it got said. I will add, like, I kind of wonder why they didn't have like staged rescue moments, like even have like fake students that were in peril for them to rescue, because everything else was staged, like the robots and stuff, for the villain point. So I don't know, that kind of, I don't know.
I guess it is one massive robot. So maybe they went for size over quantity, I don't know.
I guess, like, also, they might have expected the students to work together more. Like, rescue points could also be helping each other. And that's what I'm kind of surprised that the students were very much, like, all just, it's me, or, like, nothing. Like...
all for one, yeah.
Yeah. I did like kind of establishing Deku and Bakugo really well as, like, kind of planting the seeds for later characters, like Ida and Ochako, but also other people we see, and then we're going to see them later as well.
You mean like disappointing Death Arms?
No, I meant like Kirishima, or like we see Shoji a little bit.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
I'm already disappointed about Shoji. I want to know more.
Mm.
But
his outfit is interesting too. It's kind of like bandages on his, like, above his waist, and then like shirtless.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of different.
I do like that Deku does like get character development just in like the first 4 chapters. He's starting to be more confident, and like we kind of get to see more of what makes him tick. What makes him tick? I'm still in the foot thing.
Style.
Yeah, that's an actual spoiler. But is there anything? Or is James back yet? No.
James had a dog-related situation. For any viewers listening.
Oh, I didn't even know.
So did we want to talk about spoilers?
Yes.
Okay, now, if you are not caught up in the current series, up to where are we at the moment? What chapter are we at?
268? That's just a guess.
268.
Well done.
Wow.
If you're not caught up to 268, cut off now.
Now, if you keep listening, it's your fault. But okay, let's talk about the Doctor.
Straight in there.
Yes, I'm just because like it just drives me nuts because like he has like the glasses like that future character we see, but I am kind of in the camp that Deku doesn't have a quirk just because of the pinky toe thing that maybe he was like stealing it from other people but not Deku, or I think you guys were mentioning that maybe it's a fake X-ray or something.
I don't know. I don't think we have enough information to know whether he does or doesn't have a quirk. But I just think it's very interesting that the Doctor was featured so early on, like in the first chapter. It was very interesting to go back because we all knew anyway, but just to read that bit where he's in it, and because even his mannerisms, like he's giving someone bad news, but his body language is very nonchalant. Like he just doesn't care. Like he's laid back on his chair, his arms are kind of like across him. He's very like his posture doesn't show that he's like bothered about it at all. Which you could either read into it that, like I guess if you're a paediatrician, I guess he's a GP paediatrician and this is his role at the moment. So he might not be giving very much bad news. So you could say, oh, it's not like the worst thing, but it's still like not hugely compassionate, and as a nurse I might be reading too much into a slouch.
Right. Yeah,
but
even if he like came across this often, and didn't view it as a big deal, it's, I don't know, bedside manner is important.
Yeah. But I didn't have anything else to say on the Doctor unless you did, Kendra.
No, I'm done.
Cool. Should we talk about character development and how far they've come?
Sure.
Sure.
I really think that Bakugo has come the most far. Like, Izuku doesn't cry as much, but his character's not hugely changed. Like, we still see him. I guess the main thing for him is that they like almost wants him now to focus on like winning rather than just saving people. And I guess we see him up against. We haven't seen him like in his fight against Shoto. He was still focused on like trying to help Shoto like come out of his shell and fight for himself rather than like his dad's weird anti-morals thing. So we've not seen Izuku in any fights that aren't where he's saving anyone since then. I don't know if he's hugely developed from them, but we have seen that Bakugo is starting to try and fight to help other people, like when he helped Jiro during the 1A and 1B.
I guess for Bakugo, like I think he definitely has really come far, and he's like definitely a lot nicer in his own way. I still really think that he needs to do that apology, and I'm a little annoyed. I think it was in one of like the spin-off like joke mangas when Ochiko's kind of like, it almost seems like you're afraid of Deku. I really wanted that to be in the main series.
Yeah.
As well.
But then,
yeah.
As you've been saying it, that just made me think that Bakugo's got so much more character development that he needs than Izuku. Because like Izuku started off as a nice guy. He just cried a little bit too much. And that was basically it. Whereas Bakugo was just a pillock, a really horrible person. So he's got a lot more progression than he needs. So it's not really a fair comparison.
Yeah, I guess Deku needed that self-confidence as well.
I will say that I didn't like Bakugo for a long time, but I do like him now. He's changed.
I feel like Horikoshi kind of goes like he uses his anger issues in a comedic sense far more now, so that kind of like lightens our view of him. Also, I will say about Midoriya, like his motivation for being a hero is basically, I want to help people and I want to be like All Might, and it doesn't, like, there isn't a whole lot of depth to it other than him not having a quirk. And it's kind of like, as we see some other characters who appear to have traumatic backstories or like deeper motivations, it's really hard to look at Midoriya and feel like his is as, I don't want to say it's as valid, but that's kind of what I'm getting at.
I know what you mean, because like even Kirishima, his backstory isn't anywhere near as like, it doesn't come close to as traumatic as Todoroki's, but it still feels like there's a lot of emotional weight there.
I think maybe it's more relatable to us as an audience because it's like I want to be able to stand up for people and be more of a man, where Midoriya is I didn't have a quirk, now I do. It's kind of like he is still privileged in that sense.
I think they are kind of very similar. Well, like, Kirishima has the problem where he couldn't do what Deku did. Deku was able to act when someone was in danger. Well, Kirishima couldn't. So they kind of parallel that way. As well as, like, Kirishima, we got his backstory after we already cared about him a lot. Well, Deku was kind of his establishing moment, and then we learn more about him afterwards. And I do kind of like that he doesn't have, like, a big angsty backstory like typical protagonists might.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it does make him feel like a little bit plainer in comparison. So you want to be like, what you want to dig into him a little bit more. So I wish maybe there was a little bit more depth to Deku.
I'm sure there will be. Like, we don't know anything about his dad.
Well, and I was thinking too, like what we're seeing could be like the development of his backstory. Like something major happens that makes him even more like serious about this, even though that's hard to imagine, but like more of a motivation.
I think he's also got like the other thing is because he's the main character, you can get main character fatigue. Where it's like, oh, we've seen so much of him, we want to see so much of other people, so then they start seeming more, I don't know, more like interesting. But one of the other things that I wanted to talk about is the first time when we see Endeavour, and we, even from the start, the first thing we learn about him is that he stopped more crimes than anyone else in history. And I don't think that gets mentioned enough, and it's all like hidden behind all the like horrible things that he's done with his family. But he is a good hero, like to have stopped more crimes than anyone else. Like if he stopped more crimes than All Might, that the role of a hero is to stop crime. It's not for people to like you, and it's not to do interviews, and it's not to wear great jeans.
I guess I wonder
to say
it might be All Might just can stop crime by just existing, though. That maybe people won't do stuff because they think, oh no, All Might be there.
And that is partly press as well. I will say, like, All Might's debut, wasn't that like a disaster as well? So I wonder if Endeavor is more focused on crimes than like relief effort.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I wonder how long. I wonder what sort. If All Might is the age that Sandra thinks he is, like in his 60s, I wonder how much stuff he was doing in the background before he came to the limelight. Because if he got Nana's quirk, and he then wanted to, he wanted to build his strength up and everything before he came into the limelight, maybe he was doing like smaller things or trying to really like harp in on the All for One network, and then he came to the forefront with that like rescue disaster. Maybe that was something connected to All for One, and I don't know. It made me grow into the speculation of him and his history.
Because he did go over to the States for a little bit to train, then he came back. I guess, what am I thinking? Oh, for All Might, I don't get how, like, they know he went to UA. Surely they must know, like, what year he graduated, so you can tell his age from that.
Yeah,
I don't know why his age is a mystery. Like, why does it have to be a mystery?
I guess it's a mystery for plot significance.
Yeah.
I mean, we just kind of, I guess so. It has to be, but I just like, I personally don't see a point.
I just, as long as he doesn't end up having like an Aragon age where you think that he's like, oh, he's 50, and then he's like, I'm 160. You're like, Aragon, what? You ride that horse so nimbly.
One thing I want to talk about in the first chapter at the end, Midoriya says, I forgot to mention this, but this is a story of how I became a great hero, as opposed to the world's greatest hero, as the anime says.
Yes, I liked that as well.
Me too, because it's like when you're watching it, it's just kind of like, well, like Momo could be really good, and this person could be the best, and it's like it kind of makes it anticlimactic in a sense.
I guess as we go through our read through, we'll see if he does say that he becomes the greatest. But I completely forgot that he doesn't say greatest. He says a great hero. So he might not actually become the number one. Maybe it'll be Bakugo. Maybe it'll be Momo. Maybe it'll be Aoyama. Maybe it'll be Mineta.
Boo.
I do like that it says that, just because it like lets us know that like he's just starting out and like he hasn't even gotten the quirk yet, but we know like he's gonna become like one of the greats.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing mentioned in the first one was when he sees Mount Lady for the first time, he says she has a gigantification quirk, and that's really common. And that kind of stood out because, like, as the series has progressed, we see, like, especially villains, like, everybody has a gigantification quirk. Like, everybody.
Yeah.
Not really.
No,
there's quite a few.
Size makes things bigger and smaller, and then there's in the filler arcs, there's that guy that touches stuff and can make it bigger and smaller, which is similar to size. And then even the man who, you remember, when he gets embarrassed, he takes off his clothes and he gets embarrassed and he turns into a monster. He gets a lot bigger.
Doesn't he just get stronger?
No, he like changes form, just like the guy, the villain that we first meet, who becomes a monster after stealing a purse. It's kind of similar.
In Vigilantes, it has a lot more gigantification.
Right.
Like
there's
people,
a lot.
like they're getting targeted, basically.
And because there's the two villains that Najiri, Ochiko and Froppy fight with, and also you could probably count Ryukyu as a gigantification, even though technically she's dragon, and also Redestro. I don't know. There's quite a few compared to like ones where they'll say, oh, that's an uncommon quirk, but then you see people like Momo where we don't see anyone else in the world that can create stuff, or we don't see other people like Tokiyami, for example.
And also like for healing quirks too, like we've seen Recover Girl, and then we've seen people in the movie who had healing, who are doctors, but that's like it. And then also the doctor who can heal himself. Regeneration. And like, I've seen Nomu as well.
Yeah.
But not people.
Hopefully airy in the future, but that's just my personal preference. Because I want the nursing unit to be a real thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
That'll be the next spin-off.
And it's interesting, I think James was talking about it before we started recording, how you see 8 flashes of light that indicate previous users when All Might's talking about like how the power is passed on. Mm-hmm. So All Might is the 8th user and now Deku's the 9th.
Yeah, I thought it was just interesting that he had maybe that far planned out, I'm guessing, about previous users, because he's saying it was passed down, so you can say, oh, it's just passed down, and then later on we get like, oh, there was 8 previous users, but no, like there's 8 flashes of light, or 7 flashes of light, and All Might's the 8th flash, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. On a different note, we do get a little bit of critique that we talk about traitor theories too much, but can I talk about traitor theories?
Sure.
Yes.
So I would like to present Mike.
Mike.
Yeah. So he thinks that Napoleon is a hero. Questionable. He gives Uraka a weird like nickname of listener girl and pats her on the head like a creature. I don't know, he just gave me really odd vibes, and I was thinking he's a teacher, he would know where all of his students would be. If he knew that Lao Cloud had been taken over by the villains, like his body had been taken over, maybe he knew earlier on and they gave him some sort of like interwoven deal, whereas if he was on their side then he could maybe get some information on how to get Loud Cloud back. And he was so desperate. And then that's why when Izawa was like, but what would you do? He was like, sing karaoke, even though we knew he was upset, but he wasn't as upset. Maybe he wasn't as upset because he already knew.
I think he was being sarcastic there.
He seemed pretty upset to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went too far.
I do have a present Mike bias though.
I don't know, maybe, because he definitely, like, his eyes especially give him kind of like a villain design look a little bit. Would be the only thing. I would say I still have my Cuckoo Bonanza one, that's Ochiko, especially because her little character profile says, like, oh, she's very blunt and to the point, which means that, like, there couldn't be a dark side to her, and I was like, could there be?
Yeah, I was about to mention that because it says right here that on the character profile, it says she's unexpectedly brazen and frank, proof that there's no hidden side to her if you catch my drift. That sounds like a wink, wink, nod, nod.
Yeah.
Or nudge, nudge.
Though, after the last few chapters, I've started to think that maybe it could be Tokiyami, and that's why he jumped in front of Dubby.
Ooh, maybe.
Also, he's dark and twisted. But anyway, away from traitor theories.
Yeah.
Did anyone else have anything spoilery that they wanted to talk about, other than how terrible Ida's hair was at the start? Much better.
I just love
I can't believe I missed Ida's hair because I didn't want to mention that, but I guess y'all mentioned it while I was away from it.
Not really.
No, I've only
it
just mentioned it. It was terrible.
Oh, I thought you mentioned
Much
it.
better
Yeah.
now.
Oh, I did want to mention that. I didn't like his hair in the first couple chapters. That it looked weird, but that's it.
Are we ready to wrap it up, or any other spoilery thoughts? So here is it.
This is like really minor, but going back to Aoyama being listed as a decision maker, like I think he's been portrayed as like a bit of a coward. So like I was thinking, okay, like how has he been a decision maker? But he definitely has been, even despite his fears, like when in the training or the camp training arc where he like blasted at the villains or at Mr. Compress, and then even though it might have like bit him in the end, and also to like sacrifice himself in the provisional license exam arc, like those were decisive moments, even though they seemed cowardly or what have you. So I thought that was kind of an interesting way to describe him, but it does make sense as we see him progress.
That was such a good point. I was thinking that as we went through, and I didn't mention it, and I'm so glad you did, because Aoyama, much better than people give him credit for.
Yeah.
And I just love also that Kirishima is there, and like, but we don't find that out until way later, which is kind of cool.
Cool. Does anyone else have anything to add?
Nope.
Then we will bid you all adieu. Okay, so I'm Sophie. You can find me on Twitter at Choppers Atlas. Kendra, where can people find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Sniper of My Heart, and I have another podcast about Haikyuu. You can follow that on Twitter at HaikyuuPod.
And Gary?
You can find me at Wrath of Giraffe on Twitter.
And James?
No surprise here. You can find me on Twitter at That One Welder Guy. I also have two podcasts. I have the Kicking Stones podcast, which is a Dr. Stone manga read-through podcast, and the Weeb Jammin' podcast, where we just finished recording our Trigun episode last week, and that should be up soon. And you can follow that at Jammin' Weeb.
Cool. Now, I'm glad you've all joined us. I hope you stay tuned and are as excited as we are for arc number 2, and keep going beyond Plus Ultra.
You forgot to say where you could find the podcast.
Oh, well, it's done now.
They made it this far.
Did you stop recording? Oh, no, I can add it. Okay. You can follow us on I lost it. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at MHAPod. You can check out our website, www.mhapod.com. And you can also email us, send us your cosplays, because there's no cons going on right now, myheropod@gmail.com. Check us out.
This is my hero academia. This is manga news and more. Plus Ultra. Ooh, they're my hero academia.